When I was young, I didn't understand much about life, but I understood one thing. My father's hands always looked tired. He worked in a Mexican restaurant in New York, a small, noisy, crowded place where the kitchen felt like a furnace and the days never seemed to end. He would leave early in the morning before the sun touched the buildings and come back late at night, clothes stained with food, shoes soaked in sweat, hands cracked from washing endless dishes and cutting ingredients. He worked for low salary, but he never complained. My mother wasn't any different. She worked as a cleaner in offices and apartments. Every morning she left carrying her bucket, gloves, and cleaning supplies. Every night she returned with the same soft smile, even though her eyes were filled with exhaustion. They both worked themselves to the bone so that me and my sister could have a chance, a real chance at a better life. As a child, I didn't know what responsibility meant, but watching them sacrifice everything for us, that word carved itself into my heart. Growing up wasn't easy. I remember sitting near the window every night listening to the sound of the door unlocking. My father would enter slowly, shoulders slumped, carrying the stress of the day like a heavy backpack. Sometimes he didn't even eat. He would go straight to bed because he had to wake up again at 5 a.m. My mother's fingers hurt from scrubbing floors. Sometimes she couldn't even close her hands properly, but she always cooked food for us, even if she hadn't eaten all day. I felt something inside my chest every time I saw this, a kind of pain I couldn't describe, a mix of sadness, anger, and determination. I didn't want this life for them. I didn't want this life for us. Every night I whispered to myself, "One day I will change everything." That promise became the fuel for everything that followed. Most teenagers at my age were thinking about games, girls, school drama, and hanging out. But I was thinking about my future, about my parents, about our life. Every time I passed by a restaurant, I observed, not just the food, but the system. How waiters spoke to customers, how the manager handled problems, how the kitchen operated. I wasn't interested in becoming rich instantly. I was interested in learning how a business works, learning how to talk to people, learning how to stay calm during chaos. I didn't realize it then, but I was training myself, training my mind for the life I would one day live.
When I turned 18, I made a decision that changed the entire direction of my life. I took a job at a Mexican restaurant as a waiter, not because I needed pocket money, not because I wanted to be a waiter forever, but because I wanted to learn something schools don't teach: the art of dealing with people, the art of service, the art of running a busy business. The first few days were tough. Customers were demanding. Some were rude, some were impatient. And when the restaurant got busy, everything felt like a storm. Voices shouting, orders piling up, dishes crashing, people complaining. But I stayed calm. I reminded myself, this is training. This is preparation. And day by day, I got better. I learned how to handle difficult customers with a smile. I learned how to stay patient, even when someone yelled. I learned how to talk politely, confidently, professionally. And slowly, customers began noticing. They started saying, "Luis, you're amazing. Luis, you make this place feel warm. Luis, you're the reason we come back." Some even asked to be seated in my section only. And every day, I went home with more than just tired legs. I went home with tips, experience, and belief in myself. My parents never had enough to save, but now I could. I began saving every dollar from my salary, every tip, every extra shift. My sister also worked part-time, and she saved too. We didn't buy expensive clothes. We didn't go out often. We didn't waste money because we had a mission, a dream, a vision that was bigger than temporary pleasure. We wanted to build something for our family, something that belonged to us, something that would change our destiny forever. As the years passed, I began noticing something that broke my heart. My parents were aging faster than they should. Working long hours as immigrants was taking a toll on them. My father's back started hurting constantly. My mother's hands became swollen. They couldn't keep living like this forever. One night, I sat in my room and asked myself a hard question. If they stop working, what will happen? The answer scared me. That night, I made a decision. We would build our own restaurant, our own business, our own future.
Nothing happens overnight. Dreams take time. Dreams take discipline. So for years, we continued working and saving. Every week, I studied how restaurants work, how to manage costs, how to buy ingredients, how to train staff, how to design a menu, how to create customer loyalty, how to market a small business. Sometimes, after work, while my coworkers went out, I stayed behind watching the chef, learning how the kitchen operated. I learned everything from chopping vegetables to running a POS system. My sister did the same. She learned customer service, social media, table management, and communication. We were building skills without even realizing it. Every month, we watched our savings grow, slowly, quietly, steadily. And then, the time came. When I was 24 years old, we finally found a small place for rent. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't big, but it was ours. A small Mexican restaurant in New York, in a neighborhood filled with life and diversity. We took the risk, we signed the papers, and invested everything we had saved for years. My father cried, my mother hugged us, my sister smiled with tears in her eyes. We painted the walls ourselves. We decorated the place with Mexican colors, vibrant, warm, full of culture. We created a menu together, recipes passed down from grandparents. And then, one morning, we opened our doors. The first customer walked in, then the second, then more. People loved the food. They loved the story behind the restaurant. They loved the atmosphere.
Now, I am 25 years old, and our restaurant has been open for 1 year. My father and mother work in the kitchen, but they no longer work from morning to night. They take breaks. They rest. They smile more. Their faces look lighter, happier. Me and my sister work in the front, welcoming customers, managing orders, talking to people. We built a place that is more than a restaurant. It's a home, a place filled with family energy and Mexican love. At the end of every month, we earn enough to live comfortably. We're not rich yet, but we're stable. We're growing. We're independent. And most importantly, my parents finally have the life they deserve. A life without extreme exhaustion. A life with dignity. A life with hope. Sometimes, when I close the restaurant at night and look at the empty tables, I smile. I think of the boy I used to be. The boy who sat near the window, waiting for his parents to come home exhausted. I think of the promise I made to myself. One day, I will change everything. And I did. Not with luck, not with shortcuts, not with someone else's money, but with hard work, discipline, sacrifice, patience, and love for my family. We started from zero
Zero money, zero connections, zero privilege. But we built everything with our hands, hearts, and hopes. And now, we are on our path toward financial freedom. This is our journey. This is our story. A story of a Mexican family rising in New York. A story of a son who refused to accept poverty. A story of strength, unity, and belief. If you're watching or reading this and you feel stuck, or you feel life is unfair, remember this. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is where you decide to go. If a boy like me, a waiter from a struggling immigrant family, can open a restaurant in New York, then you too can change your life. Your story can begin anywhere, but it can end magnificent if you keep going. This is the story of Luis, a son, a dreamer, a worker, and a builder of a future that once seemed impossible. From zero to hope, to stability, to freedom. And the story is still being written.
For more inspiring stories like this, please like the video and subscribe the Rich Trackers channel.